and her eyebrow and her tongue. Well, she also has an eyebrow.
Okay, you just said that then. You look back at you have to say that because you made this nature to different. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Offense.
Alright, scream, see him.
Why?
You already know why. And it's your bedtime. Go get ready for bed. Bless you. Bless you. Get ready for bed. No reason why you are still awake. None. Well, hey there. How are you doing? My name is Angel, and I like all things mysterious. So I waited to like actually start it, give everybody a chance to get in here. Obviously I'm not getting anybody in this chat, or they came and left. Who knows? Um, First things first. I was watching a glitch in the Matrix video. It was a short. It was just a short, but it got me thinking about stuff that's happening to me, right? And I've had a lot of instances of deja vu, right? And right. But what if like we are just living in a simulation and somebody's playing our game? It kind of makes sense that when we die, maybe they just stop playing the game, right? So there's that. But let's get into it. Oh, I forgot. Let's sign in chat. Oh, I guess I in chat over here so I can actually keep track. There. Okay. Hmm. I actually Googled, are we living in a simulation? And the first thing that pops up it says, confirmed. We live in a simulation. From Scientific America. Well, it's not a .org, so I don't really trust it. From April 1st, 2021. It says, confirm, we live in a simulation. We must never doubt Elon Musk again. Don't hate me, guys. Ever since the philosopher Nick Bostrom proposed in the physio- physio- philosophical quarterly that the universe and everything in it might be a simulation, there has that's all. You guys can't even hear me. Well, you might have been able to hear me. It probably sounded very jumbled. So let's start that all over again, right? It's always something. I didn't even realize I didn't have the headset on. Anyways, hey there. How are you doing? My name is Angel, and I'm glad you can hear me this time. I'm sorry that I forgot to put my headset on. It's always something. So, anyways, let's get back into this now that you guys can hear me. I don't know what made me even think about it. I like looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, wait a minute. Anyways, so April 1st, 2021, confirmed we live in a simulation. We must never doubt Elon Musk again. And like I said, please don't hate me. I'm just the messenger, and it's not even my message. And it says, ever since the philosopher Nick Bostrom proposed in the Philosophical Quarterly that the universe and everything in it might be a simulation, There has been. Yes, ma'am. You can't come up here. I hear you. She's yelling at me. It's not bedtime. No, it's not bedtime. There's no room for Africa up here. Okay. Anyways, yeah, there's no room for Aphrodite up here. She thinks that there is. I wish you'd stop trying to make biscuits on me too. I know, you're so cute. Yes, you are. Stop licking my neck. Yes. I know, you're so cute. Alright, but you're in the way. I can't see. Okay. That the universe and everything in it might be a simulation. There has been intense public speculation and debate about the nature of reality. Such public intellectuals as Tesla leader and prolific Twitter gadfly Elon Musk have what is that? Opened about the statistical inevitability of our world being little more than, than cascading green code. Recent papers have built on the original hypothesis to further refine the statistical bounds of the hypothesis, arguing that the chance that we live in a simulation may be 50-50. Aphrodite, you're too big. You're not a tiny kitten no more. I know you. The claims have been afforded some credence by repetition by luminaries no less esteemed than Neil deGrasse Tyson, the director of Hayden Planetarium and America's favorite science popularizer. Yet there have been skeptics. Physic physicist Frank Wilczek has argued that there's too much wasted complexity in our universe for it to be simulated. Why are you all wet? Were you playing in the water? Or were you cleaning yourself? You're really wet though. Anyways. have have argued that there's too much wasted complexity in our universe for it to be simulated. Building complexity requires energy and time. Why would a conscious, intelligent designer of realities waste so many resources into making our world more complex than it needs to be? It's a hypothetical question, but still may be needed. Others, such as physicist and science communicator Sabine Hassenfelder, have argued that the question is not scientific anyway, since the simulation hypothesis does not arrive at a falsifiable prediction. We can't really test or disprove it, and hence is not worth seriously investigating. However, all these discussions and studies of the simulation hypothesis have, I believe, missed a key element of scientific inquiry: plain old empirical assessment and data collection. To understand if we live in a simulation, we need to start looking at the fact that we have computers running all kinds of simulations for lower level intelligences or algorithms. Facts. For easy visualization, we can imagine these intelligences as any non-person characters in any video game that we play, like Project Zomboid. But in essence, any algorithm operating on any computing machine would qualify for our thought experiment. We don't need the intelligence to be conscious, and we don't need to even be very complex, because the evidence we are looking for is experienced by all computer programs, simple or complex, running on all machines, slow or fast. All computing hardware leaves an artifact of its existence within the world of the simulation it is running. This artifact is the processor speed. If for a moment we imagine that we are a software program running on a computing machine, the only and inevitable artifact that the hardware supporting us within our world would be the processor speed. All other laws we would experience would be the laws of the simulation or the software we are a part of. If we were a Sim or a Grand Theft Auto character, these would be the laws of the game. But anything we do would also be constrained by the processor speed, no matter the laws of the game. No matter how complete the simulation is, the processor speed would intervene in the operations of the simulation. In our computing world, in our computing systems, of course, this intervention of the processing speed into the world of the algorithm being executed happens even at the most fundamental level. I can't help it. Aphrodite's over here just getting super comfortable. Stretching her feet out and everything. Even at the most fundamental level of simple operations, such as addition or subtraction, the processing speed dictates a physical reality onto the operation that is detached from the simulated reality of the operation itself. Oh, they put ads in the middle of it. I thought that was the end. Here is a simple example. A 64-bit processor would perform a subtraction between, say, 7,862,345 and 6,347,111 in the same amount of time as it would take to perform a subtraction between 2 and 1. Granted, all numbers are defined as the same variable type. In the simulated reality, 7 million is a very large number, and 1 is a comparatively very small number. In the physical world of the processor, the difference in scale between these two numbers is irrelevant. Both subtractions in our example constitute one operation and would take the same time. Here we can clearly now see the difference between a simulated or abstract world of programmed mathematics and a real or physical world of microprocessor operations. What if the laws of physics were different?
We've made ourselves pretty comfortable here in this universe with its laws of physics. What if the laws of physics were a little bit, or maybe even a lot, different? I'm Jared Kaplan, and this is Did the Universe Have to Be the Way It Is? We've only seen one universe, our own, and we don't know what other kinds of universes could exist, or might really exist in a multiverse. However, we can try to extrapolate based on the laws of physics that we do know. Let's imagine a universe where gravity is a lot stronger. Gravity, at a quantum level, is actually a very, very weak force. We have this weak gravity to thank for the size of the Earth, the size of the Sun, and our orbit, which keeps the Earth wonderfully habitable. If gravity were a lot stronger, we could be living on a Little Prince kind of planet. If gravity were stronger still, stars could be the size of apples, and perhaps the whole universe would only be the size of the Earth. This is because the curvature of space-time would be a lot greater, causing matter to collapse in on itself, and making celestial objects rather petite. That might sound charming, but with much smaller planets, we wouldn't have very much space to roam, and smaller stars would have less nuclear fuel, meaning that they would burn up more quickly. That means that the process of evolution and the development of life would be greatly curtailed. But what if the opposite were true and gravity were much weaker? It might not be able to overcome the expansion of the universe. Since matter wouldn't be pulled together, the universe would be a complete mess, like it didn't clean up its bedroom. Or planets and stars could still form, but they might be much.
Hold on, I have a question. What does this have to do with that this it has been confirmed that we are living in a simulation. Because remember, that's why we clicked on this to begin with. And then I clicked on this video because it was in this article, right? And it's talking about if the universe was different. I mean, I guess the universe has something to do with the simulation too. I don't know. Hold on, let's see. Is there any more to this story? Oh, there is. Well, let's finish watching this. There's not much left. I'm just saying.
Bigger. In fact, a planet like the Earth might be shaped like a potato. And on such a planet, because of the weak gravity, we'd be able to jump astonishingly high. Maybe so high that we could jump into orbit. Let's see what would happen if we changed some of the other laws of physics. A funny fact about our universe is that neutrons and protons, which make up atomic nuclei, have nearly identical masses. However, if we were to fiddle just a little bit with the masses of the quarks, we could make protons heavier than neutrons. In a universe like that, protons could decay to neutrons. That would mean that atomic nuclei themselves would decay, and all the elements in our universe would be unstable. In such a universe, chemistry and life as we know it would be completely impossible. If we were to remove the strong nuclear force, not only would nuclei break apart, but even protons and neutrons would fall apart into their constituent quarks. In a universe like that, electrons and quarks would be flying around freely. We don't really know what kind of structures would form, but certainly life as we know it wouldn't be possible. Now let's try something different. Keeping the forces as they are, what would it be like if we lived in more or fewer space-time dimensions? We live in a universe with 3 spatial dimensions. After all, you can go forward and backward, up and down, left to right, and that's it. But living in a 2D world would be more like living inside a piece of paper. A 2-dimensional universe would be very, very different. For example, the electromagnetic force would be quite different. It would be a lot stronger, functioning a lot like the strong force in our universe. The gravitational force in 2 dimensions would also be very different. Although there would still be space-time curvature, there wouldn't be a conventional long-range force. That means that matter wouldn't necessarily clump together, and planet and star formation would be nothing like what we see in our universe. Imagining what it would be like to live in a 4-dimensional universe is a lot harder. In fact, it's basically impossible to visualize. However, there are some things we know based on the laws of physics. For example, in higher dimensions, orbits wouldn't be stable. That means that a 4-dimensional Earth would go crashing into its sun. So why did the universe end up the way that it is? We really don't know the answer. But one possibility, or at least food for thought, is that maybe the universe is the way it is because if it were different, we wouldn't be here to talk about it.
I guess. Anyways, within the abstract world of program mathematics, I don't really see what this has to do with it either. Is it all about math? I'm not big about math. Anyways, the processing speed of operations per second will be observed, felt, experienced, noted as an artifact of underlying physical computing machinery. This artifact will appear as an additional component of any operation that is unaffected by the operation in the simulated reality. The value of this additional component of the operation would simply be defined as the time taken to perform one operation on variables up to a maximum limit that is the memory container size for the variable. So, in an 8-bit computer, for instance, to oversimplify, this would be 256. I know how to come up with these numbers. Anyways, the value of this additional component will be the same for all numbers up to the maximum limit. The additional hardware component will thus be irrelevant for any operations within the simulated reality, except when it is discovered as the maximum container size. Oh. This observer within the simulation has no frame for quantifying the processor speed. Oh, I moved too much. I moved too much. Shouldn't usually stay that long. But anyways, My arm is falling asleep from her laying on it. Anyways, the additional hardware component will thus be irrelevant for any operations within the simulated reality except when it is discovered as the maximum container size. The observer within the simulation has no frame for quantifying the processor speed except when it presents itself as an upper limit. If we live in a simulation, then our universe should also have such an artifact. We can now begin to articulate some properties of this artifact that would help us in our search for such an artifact in our universe. The artifact is an additional component of every operation that is unaffected by the magnitude of the variables being operated upon and is irrelevant within the simulated reality until a maximum variable size is observed. This doesn't make sense to me. Make it make sense. Anyways, artifacts presents itself in the simulated world as an upper limit. The artifact cannot be explained by underlying mechanistic laws of the simulated universe. It has to be accepted as an assumption or given within the operating laws of the simulated universe. The effect of the artifact or the anomaly, I can pronounce words, I promise sometimes, is absolute, no exceptions. Now that we have some defining features of the artifact, of course it becomes clear what the artifact manifests itself as within our universe. The artifact is manifested as a speed of light. Space is to our universe what numbers are to the simulated reality in any computer. Oh, okay, that's why they're bringing math in. Matter moving through space can simply be seen as operations happening on the variable space. If matter is moving at, say, 1,000 miles per second, then 1,000 miles worth of space is being transformed by a function or operated upon every second. If there were some hardware running the simulation called space, of which matter, energy, you, me, everything is a part, then one telltale sign of the artifact of the hardware within the simulated reality, space, would be a maximum limit on the container size for space on which one operation can be performed. Such a limit would appear in our universe as a maximum speed. This maximum speed is the speed of light. We don't know what hardware is running the simulation of our universe or what properties it has, but one thing we can say is that the memory container size for the variable space would be about 300,000 kilometers if the processor performed one operation per second. This helps us arrive at an interesting observation about the nature of space in our universe. If we are in a simulation, as it appears, then space is an abstract property written in code. It is not real. It is analogous to the numbers 7 million and 1 in our example. Just different abstract representations on the same size memory block. Up, down, forward, backward, 10 miles, a million miles, these are just symbols. The speed of anything moving through space, and therefore changing space or performing an operation on space, represents the extent of the causal impact of any operation on the variable space. I find that funny. But anyways, this causal impact cannot extend beyond about 300,000 kilometers, given the universe computer performs one operation per second. We can now see that the speed of light meets all the criteria of a hardware artifact identified in our observation of our own computer builds. It remains the same irrespective of observer simulated speed. It is observed as a maximum limit. It is inexplicably by the physics of the universe and is absolute. The speed of light is a hardware artifact showing where we live in a simulated universe. They keep throwing that word around, but they're not breaking it down for me to understand. But this is not the only indication that we live in a simulation. Perhaps the most pertinent indication has been hiding right in front of our eyes, or rather, behind them. To understand what this critical indication is, we need to go back to our empirical study of simulations we know of. Imagine a character in a role-playing game. Say a sim or the player character in Grand Theft Auto. The algorithm that represents the character and the algorithm that represents the game environment in which the character operates are intertwined at many levels. But even if we assume that the character and the environment are separate, the character does not need a visual projection of its point of view in order to interact with the environment. The algorithms take into account some of the environmental variables and some of the character state variables to project and determine the behavior of both the environment and the character. The visual projection, or what we see on the screen, is for our benefit. It is a subjective projection of some of the variables within the program so that we can experience the sensation of being in the game. They're still not making it make sense to me. The audio-visual projection of the game is an integrated subjective interface for the benefit of us. Essentially, someone controlling the simulation. Okay, now we're getting into some stuff I can understand. I didn't go to school for like engineering or whatever. Like, I can do that. I don't understand any of this. The audio-visual projection of the game is an integrated subjective. Okay. The integrated subjective interface has no other reason to exist except to serve us. A similar thought experiment can be run with movies. Movies often go into the point of view of characters and try to show us things from their perspective. Whether or not a particular movie scene does that or not, what's projected on the screen and the speakers, the integrated experience of the film has no purpose for the characters in the film. It is entirely for our benefit. Pretty much since the dawn of physics. Why am I having such a hard time? It's the S in the middle. Remember, I have a problem with S's. I think we went over that. Pretty much since the dawn of philosophy. There we go. I just can't look at the word when I'm saying it. We have been asking the question, why do we need consciousness? What purpose does it serve? Well, the purpose is easy to extrapolate once we can see the simulation hypothesis. Consciousness is an integrated, combining five senses, subjective interface between the self and the rest of the universe. The only reasonable explanation for its existence is that there is to be an experience. Then its primary raison d'etre. I also don't speak French either. Anyways, parts of it may or may not provide any kind of evolutionary advantage or other utility. But the sum total of its existence as an experiment and hence must have the primary function of being an experience. An experience by itself as a whole is too energy expensive and information restrictive to have evolved as an evolutionary advantage. The simplest explanation for the existence of an experience or qualia is that it exists for the purpose of being an experience. There is nothing in philosophy or science, no postulates, theories, or laws that would predict the emergence of this experience we call consciousness. Natural laws do not call for its existence, and it certainly does not seem to offer us any evolutionary advantages. There can only be two explanations for its existence. First is that there are evolutionary forces at work that we don't know of or haven't theorized yet that select for the emergence of the experience called consciousness. The second is that the experience is a function we serve, a product that we create, an experience we generate as human beings. Who do we create this product for? How do they receive the output of the qualia generating algorithms that we are? We don't know. But one thing's for sure, we do create it. We know it exists. That's the only thing we can be certain about, and that we don't have a dominant theory to explain why we need it. How long is this story? It's going on forever, and I don't think they're ever going to really get into. I can't do this no more. We've gave them so much time, and they can't make it make sense for me. Oh, here's a video. Is that Elon Musk? Oh, let's see what it says. Oh, they don't have the sound on.
Advocating for the simulation hypothesis is Elon Musk, who stated, if you assume any rate of improvement at all, games will eventually be indistinguishable from reality, before concluding that it's most likely we're in a simulation.
The strongest argument for being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think is the following. 40 years ago, we had Pong, like two rectangles and a dot. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, well, let's imagine it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be billions of such computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
Another high-profile proponent to the hypothesis is famous astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, who said in an NBC News interview that the hypothesis is correct, giving better than 50-50 odds, and adding, I wish I could summon a strong argument against it, but I can find none.
I wish I had a good argument against that hypothesis, and I do not. Someone programs a universe, and in there they gain maturity and technology.
Well, I don't think anybody. Ha! It says 15 irrefutable reasons why we might be living in a simulation. Or a glitch in the matrix, some people call it. I mean, I've seen some stuff. Anyways, are we living in a simulation and glitch in the matrix? Subreddits. Oh, the Mandela effect. That's actually on my list. All right. Some people claim to remember TV coverage of Nelson Mandela's death in the 1980s, even though he actually died in 2013. The Mandela effect is therefore supposedly proof that whoever is in charge of our simulation is changing the past. Or, alternatively, this is evidence of parallel universes, and some individuals have crossed from one universe in which Mandela died in the 80s in 2 hours, where he lived to age 95. Additional examples of this phenomena includes some remembering the name of the Bernstein Bears children's book series being spelled as Bernstein, and others recalling a non-existent movie from the 1980s called Shazam, starring the comedian Sinbad as a genie. I don't remember that one, so I'm not on that bandwagon, but I swear it was Bernstein. Bernstein Bears. But anyways, missing aliens. Look, it's E.T. Phone home. E.T. Phone home. Ugh. We've spent billions sending probes through our outer space and should probably have found evidence of extraterrestrials by now, right? Not so fast. Aliens would likely be far more technologically advanced than we are, the thinking goes. So the fact that we haven't located them suggests we live in a simulation. That's not true. We've got proof. But anyways, they figured out how to escape from. Or maybe the computer we're in only has enough RAM to simulate one planetary civilization at a time. Electrons that can't make up their minds. In physics, famous double slit experiment, electrons are fired at a photosensitive screen through slits in a copper plate, usually producing an interference pattern that indicates wave-like behavior. But when the same experiment is conducted under observation, electrons behave like particles, not waves, and there's no interference pattern. Some have taken this to mean our simulation is conserving its resources and rendering certain things only when it knows we're looking at them. Number 4, DNA that contains a computer virus. In 2017, a multidisciplinary group of researchers at the University of Washington proved that they could embed malicious computer code into physical strands of DNA. Why are we testing that out? Okay. Haven't they played enough with our DNA after the COVID shots? Okay. Anyways, their aim was to show that computers working in gene sequencing were vulnerable to attack, but they may also have inadvertently revealed that what we perceive to be biological reality was in fact computer code all along. Climate change. How convenient. Our civilization is, just coincidentally, set on the cusp of environmental chaos, suggesting we could be an ancestor simulation created in hopes that we'd show our creators how to solve an energy crisis. This theory overlaps slightly with the aliens as simulation quitters theory above. If we found an innovative solution to climate crisis, extraterrestrial beings might return to crypt the results. Number 6, video games that look like real life. Elon Musk so sorry guys, is a believer in Nick Bostrom's simulation hypothesis, which posits that if humanity can survive long enough to create technology capable of running convincing simulations of reality, it will create many such simulations, and therefore there will be lots of simulated realities and only one base reality. So, statistically, it's probably more likely we live in a simulation right now. Further proof that we live in the Matrix, according to Musk, is how cool video games are these days. In 2016, he explained, 40 years ago, we had Pong. 2 rectangles and a dot. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D with millions playing simultaneously. Whatever. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is now. It's a given that we're clearly on a trajectory that we're going to have games that are indistinguishable from reality. It would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in a billion. Weird news. Some have proposed that recent unlikelihoods, including Donald Trump's election, Brexit, the 2017 Oscars envelope mix-up, and that year's 25-point Super Bowl comeback, could mean we're in a malfunctioning simulation, or whoever is pushing the buttons is screwing with us. Quirks with computer code. Seemingly not crazy theoretical physicist James Gates claims he has identified what appears to be actual computer code embedded in the equations of string theory that describe the fundamental particles of our universe. He says he found error-correcting codes. They are what make web browsers work. So why were they in the equation? I was studying about quarks and electrons and supersymmetry. Symmetry. There we go. Why does our universe have rules in the first place? I mean, it's just the way how life is. I don't know. I have no answers for him. God, I'm tired. Number 9. Why does our universe have rules in the first place? MIT cosmologist Max Tegmark has pointed to our universe's strict laws of physics as possible evidence that we live in a video game. If I were a character in a computer game, I would also discover eventually that the rules seem completely rigid and mathematical. In this theory, the speed of light, the fastest rate at which any particle can travel, represents the speed limit for transmitting information within the network of our simulation. It's not actually possible to prove we're not living in a simulation. It may be easier to prove that we're living in a simulation than to prove we're not. Nuclear physicist Zoe Devoudi believes that cosmic rays, the most energetic particles known to man, would appear as pixel-like chunks if we're within a simulation, and unending beams if we're in a base reality. Meanwhile, NYU philosopher David Chalmers doubts it's possible to prove that we don't live in the Matrix. You are not going to get proof that we're not in a simulation because any evidence that we could get could be simulated. That's smart. Number 11, the Goldilocks zone. Earth exists within what astrobiologists call a Goldilocks zone, close enough to a star that greenhouse gases can escape heat to keep liquid water, but far enough away that the planet does not become a Venusian hothouse. That we live in such an orbital sweet spot is circumstantial evidence for a simulation. If your sim designers wanted us to succeed, it makes sense that they'd place us in such a cushy environment. Oh, there's some pictures too. Anyways, last one. Number 12. It makes more sense than ghosts. Paranormal events are not hauntings or alien encounters, but glitches in the simulation. This theory is the one most explored on Reddit forums like r/are we living in a simulation and r/glitch in the Matrix, where users explore big ideas in philosophy funneled into the details of the odd or the occult. A storefront exists in a town one day, then it doesn't. Explanations include a slip between paranormal timelines or a pop-up. A car passenger sees the word render in the sky, as if entering a new part of a video game. Elevators are frequent setting for glitch stories. The jump between floors seems to encourage a slip within dimensions. Look at that. Why does it look like blood and it's all over it? Double trouble. I don't really understand. Oh, they're both wearing purple. They both got glasses on. Yeah, I get it now. Ah, look how close their license plates are to each other, too. They both start with a 6 and they both end with 449. That is insane. Look at this. Green, red, green, red, green, red. Look at the kitty cat. Oh, wait, that wasn't the last one. Number 13, we already know what the bricks of our matrix are. According to simulation believers, we may have already found the pixel-sized building block of the universe. The Planck length. The point at which our concepts of gravity and space-time no longer apply. If our world is simulated, the Planck length would be equivalent to 1 bit of information, or a pixel. We're getting good at making simulations, and we're getting even better. In 2014, the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics connected 8,000 computers to create a 350 million light-year simulation of our universe and digitally aged it over 13 billion years. That the Sims video game franchise has sold over 125 million copies in its first decade shows we're interested in playing with simulations too. If and when a future version of humanity finds itself within the ability to create more realistic simulations, it wouldn't be a surprise if they opted to use it. How many were there? Oh, 15 must be the last one. 15. Yanny versus Laurel. Remember in 2015 when the world flipped out because we all looked at the same photo and some of us saw a blue dress while others saw a gold dress? Or the Yanny Laurel fiasco of 2018. There was also the less explosive blue, gold, white flip flop debate of 2016. Say what you will about pitch and volume and color saturation, these controversies make one thing clear. Each of us lives in our own world. No, really. What we perceive as reality is in fact partly a simulation created by our brains. Facts. Using our past experiences to help us process the fragments of data that we are receiving. To put it another way, there is no spoon. I don't know what that means. Huh. Anyways, we did get through it. I'm over here falling asleep though. While I'm reading. Couldn't make it up. Okay. Ugh. I can't say one way or another. What I can tell you is that we are going to come back to this topic again because I'm really tired and I started late. Was interacting with my daughter. I let her read a story to me tonight, and then what else? After she was done with that, oh, I smoked a cigarette before I started the stream, but I also wanted to give everybody time to get into the stream. So, I think for now, we're going to come back to this. So, if you do have a story or an idea or a thought on if we are in a simulation or not, you can go ahead and email me at angelsadventures83@yahoo.com. I keep forgetting to put it in the description box. I will start putting it in the description box. It's going to become one of my habits, I guess. And we are going to come back to simulations because I'm so tired. Plus, there's so much to go over. I don't think we even hit a part of it. But fall asleep on stream, and I don't want to fall asleep on stream. So, I'm going to come back to this Probably not right away because I have a bunch of stuff that I have kind of have planned off to the side. So I guess we'll find out what's next on the list. Updates, and then I'm ending. We're coming back to Are We Living in a Simulation? I feel like there's gonna be a lot more stuff about that one. Tomorrow is Chupacabra. Oh, I'm excited about that one. All right, and then I'm on the fence about how I want to end the week. I haven't decided yet, especially with March 1st being Saturday. And us having such really nice weather. I've been trying to get out and about into the world and everything. I realize I've been on for an hour and 10. Oh, yeah, I didn't start right away. I forgot about that. Anyways, tomorrow is Chupacabra, and then we're gonna get into another Ranker article. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do for at least the end of February. I have different ideas for March. We're gonna go down some seriously weird rabbit holes. But I can't keep my eyes open. I know you guys see that. This is how it gets. My body's like, absolutely not. It's time for bed. I can't keep my damn eyes open. They just keep shutting all on their own. Anyways, I think I'm gonna start doing streams earlier. That makes more sense to me too. Anyways, I am going to get ready for bed and take myself to sleep because my body's not playing with me tonight. It said, fuck around and find out. And I'm finding out that I can't beat it. So anyways, trying to think. Aphrodite, you take up so much room, man. Her and her little fluffy self. But anyways, if you liked this stream, that's eventually going to be a video, please give me a thumbs up if you would like to see more streams like this. Maybe where I'm not half asleep, falling asleep, can't keep my eyes open kind of deal. Um, I'm not ever usually like this. I'm just really tired today. But go ahead and subscribe. I'm a hoot. Maybe when I'm not falling asleep though during my stream. Maybe there's that, you know. But anyways, I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. I think I'm going to start doing the streams earlier because I'm having a hard time staying awake and it's only 9 o'clock tonight. So maybe we'll start doing that going further. We'll start earlier streams. I was thinking about doing daytime streams, but I don't know how anybody feels about that. If daytime streams sound like a thing for you, please go ahead and comment down below and let me know because I've been on the fence about it. I'm talking like daytime, like between, I don't know, it'd probably be real early. I usually record my videos at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I kid you not. And then I spend the rest of the day editing when I record. So, anyways, oh, I did it again. I didn't mean to. Anyways, I'm gonna get off of here. I hope you have a good rest of your night, and I